whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Hello. Happy Monday, holiday, President's Day. But we are here, of course. I have a bit of new background here. It will continue to change as I've moved into my new house that I'm renting. I wish I could buy, but I didn't. But we're loving it. Slowly moving in, slowly moving out of the other place. But I thank you all for joining us on the Nikki Medoro Show, live starting at noon Pacific time, Monday through Friday. It's definitely, thank you, Mindy. Nice living room. I am hiding so many boxes, Mindy. Anybody that's moved knows the truth. But thank you all, everybody. Please click that thumbs up button to start off the show. And we have a great show coming up. We will do kind of a presidential theme in just a moment because it is President's Day. Everything from former President Jimmy Carter, of course, in hospice, to President Biden making that surprise trip to Kyiv. So that's all coming up. So please click that thumbs up. It helps us out. We absolutely love it. Also, of course, if you can, donate to our Patreon. I've been going through, sending some emails out, some thank yous. If I haven't gotten to you yet, I will. I really do appreciate everybody that goes to our show website, theNikkiMedoroShow.com, and becomes a Medorable, as I like to call it, a monthly Patreon subscriber. So thank you. Any amount that you can donate every month, we really do appreciate it. The Super Chat is also live. That's the dollar amount or the dollar symbol that you see under the live chat. And you can throw us a super sticker, a super thanks. A lot of you support us in this way, and we really do depend on it. You know, nobody likes asking or begging for money, but this is only on because you guys support us. We've been doing this for you and for us because we absolutely love it, but it does take money. And so we appreciate any amount you can donate. If you like PayPal, there's the email, theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. And of course, you can also support us by grabbing some merch at theNikkiMedoroShop.com. And can I show off the newest pick that was sent to me? Raymond, I believe. This is Raymond. Out in Tahoe. Look at that for the holiday weekend. He has his Nikki Medoro shirt on right there. And so, yeah, that's a great way to support us. TheNikkiMedoroShop.com is where you can pick up the merch. Look, Lori above the bar. With hers, it comes in a small logo as Lori's wearing right there in the middle. It's just a smaller one if you don't want it. And again, you can also go to the Red Jack Saloon and support us by picking up a Medoro Mule, which of course is bourbon or vodka, club soda, and ginger beer. So go to the Red Jack Saloon, tell me if you like it, and a portion of the proceeds definitely will help support the show. So a big thank you to everybody, to Lori, to Raymond, to everybody that picks up merchandise. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so coming up on the show, we'll talk presidents. Also, we have to get into those vendor attacks in my hometown of San Jose. When we talk about it, the question that I keep asking myself is one, why? Why are these happening? These people are just trying to provide a service. Oftentimes it's food. In both cases, I think it was probably the bacon wrapped hot dogs outside of SAP, and then outside this auto body shop, there was a guy making barbecue. I don't understand it, but not so much the SAP, but the auto body shop. The guy had no shame and still does it for what he did, bringing a bat and threatening that vendor. So we'll get into that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I hate when her name comes out of my mouth, but she wants a national divorce. I'll explain what that is. And I'm going to call out Utah Governor Spencer Cox again. Now, you'll remember last week, I called him un-American because he basically said in front of reporters that Californians, also known as Americans, are not welcome in Utah. So then he's trying to hold Marjorie Taylor Greene to task for calling for a national divorce, where basically the red and the blue states are separated. as if you could do such a thing, moron. But he's saying, oh, no, that's the wrong tactic. Really? Kind of seems like it's just a more blunt variation of what you were saying, Cox. So we'll talk about that. Tucker Carlson must have such a relationship with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy that he's been personally handed all 40 plus hours of the January 6th tapes. So my question is, do you think it will change how he views it? I don't think so. I'm not really putting too much stock into that, but possibly. And then a study continues to look at the 4-day work week. Now, Amazon last week, I believe it was, came out and said, look, next couple of months, you guys are going to have to start coming back to work, at least hybrid schedule. And so we'll get into, there was a great interview on PBS about this, a couple of economists, and actually somebody that's behind the idea of a 4-day work week, one of the people behind it that's been doing the research. We're talking with PBS about it and what they're seeing as the cost and the benefit of it all. And my question to you will be, are workers getting greedy, or have we already proven that a different type of work week can work? So we'll talk about that. Also, some funny stories regarding, did you see the person who went to that art gallery and broke the very expensive piece of art? I just kind of think, like, just make the broken art, and it's in the eye of the beholder. So we'll get into a bunch of other stories later on in the show. We'll also talk about this house party I didn't get to last week. Did any of you throw ragers at your parents' house when you were kids, or maybe now? And what was the punishment for that? And then paying for things that used to be free. Facebook is kind of following in Twitter's footsteps, wants to do this paid verification nonsense. I worry that we're getting what used to be free, like the internet, just going and visiting sites, is leaning more and more toward paying and getting nickel and dime for every single thing. I mean, the latest news, of course, is that somebody behind the NFL and Super Bowl is floating the idea of you paying, like pay-per-view, to watch the Super Bowl. And some people are like, that'll never happen. Do you pay for boxing matches? Do you know how quickly those boxing matches can end? I mean, if you've ever shelled out buku bucks to watch, a title fight, then you know what I'm talking about. So is the Super Bowl headed there? And is that good for not only us, but is it good for the advertisers? As an advertiser, are you going to shell out, what was it, $7.5 million for an ad during a pay-per-view Super Bowl, knowing that you're just naturally not going to get the same eyeballs as you would when it was a free event. So that is all coming up. But first, on this President's Day, let's talk about some presidents, shall we? Now, of course, former president, the 39th president, Jimmy Carter, is in hospice. So, any moment now, he could pass away. He's well into his 90s. He has had a very long, although, obviously controversy of how good of a president he was, which is always the case, right, with presidents. Some people like you, some people don't. The legacy you leave, the administration, your administration, and what's going on when you take over are always questions. But I think the legacy of Jimmy Carter, his philanthropy, Habitat for Humanity, he will very much be remembered in that vein. Also, I think it was Calvin who, thank you, Calvin, for sending me so many stories. Send me this great article. I think this was from 2001. Just the love story between him and his wife, and just how long they'd been married. I think it had been 75 years. 75 years. It breaks my heart when you think about, it's great. It warms your heart to know that people have been married for so long. And then when one passes away, it's absolutely heartbreaking. But obviously our thoughts go out to the Carter family. He has lived a long, illustrious life. And yeah, so that definitely is going to draw national attention when we lose another president. And then our current president, President Biden, has apparently made a surprise trip to Kyiv. He has declared that Kyiv stands during this surprise visit. Now, of course, you're not going to announce it too much. I mean, obviously, it's in a war zone. President Biden, it's being called a defiant display of Western solidarity. Here's a picture of them both together. of Western solidarity with the country still fighting what Biden called a brutal and unjust war. This, of course, is just days before the first anniversary. God, the first anniversary of the Russian invasion. No one thought it was going to last that long. I remember being over at Station X and just my heart just bleeding for these people. Now, Biden reportedly spent more than 5 hours in the Ukrainian capital talking with President Zelensky, honoring the country's fallen soldiers, seeing U.S. embassy staff in that country. Now, Biden, of course, is trying to keep the allies unified in supporting Ukraine. We have given a ton of money. Biden announced an additional, and these numbers, let me just say, are big. Biden had announced an additional $500 million in U.S. assistance. $500 million with a B as in boy, as in big, as in huge. My God. On top of the already more than $50 billion we've already provided. Now, the money is supposed to go to howitzers, anti-tank missiles, air surveillance radars, and other aid, but no new advanced weaponry. This, according to the Associated Press. Now, of course, there's been so much death, so much destruction. Even within the last 24 hours, at least 6 civilians have been killed, 17 more wounded. It hasn't stopped just because it's not a day in, day out coverage of this war. But you can't give in. You just can't give in. And because what message does that send to Russia? Now, I hear you. How long do we stay? How long do we keep funding this? Obviously, that's why Biden's also out there to continue to hopefully bring in more people, more countries to continue their support of Ukraine in their fight against Russia. Okay, so let's bring it a little bit closer to home. You never you love it when your hometown is in the news for positive things. You do not like it when it is in the news for terrible things. Over the weekend, there have been a number, 2 that have drawn, the attention of attacks on street vendors. I'm going to show you this one video. This was outside Intex Auto Parts. This is in San Jose. It's on Old Bayshore Highway. Thank you to Henry Lee with KTVU for this video. Let me show it to you. And just how frightening something like this has to be. Watch.
Why didn't you leave? Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh. Get out of here. Leave.
Why?
Get out of here. This is illegal.
Why? ¿Por qué me pegas? Take it easy.
I'm gonna yell.
Take it easy.
No.
Take it easy, sir.
No. This
Take
is wrong.
it easy.
This is illegal. You being illegal, you
Why?
reporting that? No problem. Go ahead. You are criminal.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. No, go. You're not getting.
Look how crazy it
You want
gets.
to do this? You want to do this?
Make up lighter fluid.
No, not for me.
This is my
Is
property.
that for police?
It's my property.
Yeah.
You call the police here.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
them you're doing
Yeah.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah,
No problem. I'm gonna break your car.
yeah.
I'm going to break your
Yeah.
car. Oh my God.
Hey, sir, take it easy. Hey, sorry. Don't do that. Okay. This is barbecue area, my friend. Go. Take it easy, sir.
I love how he keeps calling him sir. Like, Jesus.
Yeah. Why?
Ready?
Yeah.
Ready? Go.
Yeah, hits him with the bat now.
Go. I think we're gonna have everybody
It's
doing
Inter
video here.
Auto Parts.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Bring
Yeah.
it.
Okay. This one no good, eh?
Oh, this.
What do you guys think of that? I mean, that guy had zero shame and still doesn't. So since the news broke that the video that I just showed you, a lot of people have come out in support of the vendor who was there cooking barbecue. I think like ribs and chicken and things like that. I want to show you this though. This was on Intex's Facebook page. I'll read it to you. Intex Auto Parts posts on their page Awesome people, great stand-up Americans. Keep running them street roaches, I mean vendors, off the streets, trying to turn our country into a third world hole like theirs, says Pedro on Google. Does it make good business to do this? Why do you think street vendors specifically are being targeted? I mean, they're just sitting there doing their job. And again, and I think it was Karen that was saying it, that, yeah, he's saying this is my property. It's not. And it's not your property. Apparently, police came out and said, you're not harming anyone. It's fine. So why do you think a business would take it upon themselves to go out there, name of the business on the shirt, kind of saying, fine, blast me on social media. Blast itself, continue on social media. Yeah, Dave writes in, the baseball bat guy's in big trouble. Assault with a deadly weapon, ADW, is a felony. He just flushed his entire life down the toilet. Yeah, he's been arrested. I thought I had a picture of him. Here he is. Kintex Ho is his name. He's like in his early 40s. I think he's my age. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Chris writes, it's a culture clash. Really? What culture? Somebody said, it's who doesn't like barbecue? Right. Mindy does. Who doesn't like barbecue? I don't know about you guys, but like, I find the people that vend some of the hardest working people. I mean, they're out there day, night, cooking it up fresh for you. I mean, you go to any other country, and that's why I'm bringing up the culture clash. Street vending is normal. Like, it happens all of the time. So why not allow these people to make a living in this way? I'm going to show you one other video. This is courtesy of ABC7. I do want to warn you that it could be a little disturbing. I think Dan Ashley actually introduces this video and says the exact same thing here. Here it is. And now this was outside SAP Center. Again, just a street vendor minding their own business.
ABC7 News reporter Amanda Del Castillo spoke with the victim and the witness who recorded that attack. And let me warn you here, the video you're about to watch is pretty tough to see.
Brutally attacked from behind and knocked unconscious as longtime street vendor and victim Saul Reconco lays face down. Video shows the suspect continuing his assault.
He saw me that was knocked down, and he started kicking me on the face, on the head. I don't know. I don't feel good. The video good. And that's something that you cannot do even to an animal.
Reconco suffered a broken nose, several loose teeth, a swollen face, and redness in his eyes. He says before the beating we see here, the suspect had purchased several hot dogs and made a demand Reconco couldn't meet.
Give me a free hot dog or free soda. I told him I can't do it, because this is not my business.
Reconco says the man then threw beer in his face and onto his grill before walking away. But minutes later, the man returned. Witness Kim Lara capturing what happened next, providing the only glimpse of the assault.
I'm Hispanic, so you grow up supporting these street vendors. And it's really sad that outside of a regional Mexican senior, a concert, a street vendor of our own kind is getting beat up by another of our kind.
SAP Center management tells us safety at events is the top priority. A statement reading in part, we continue to actively communicate with city officials to ensure that public spaces outside of the arena are safe for all guests.
27 years ago, I have been doing this. That the first time this happened to me.
His wife and other family members were not far. They too were working as vendors.
These people are going out to concerts and events to make some extra money, and now he has to not only assume the loss of what he was supposed to gain, but now has to deal with dental care and his face, the medical bills.
And our thanks again to ABC7 for that report. But it doesn't seem like Well, on one hand, he says he's been doing this for all these years, and this is the first time this has ever happened. But, you know, in light of that attack and then the one outside the auto parts shop, I mean, what is going on right now? Yeah, Cindy writes in, it makes no sense. Street vendors do not harm anyone. Seems like more people have gone nuts and need to hit something. Sadly, instead of a hit, they punch people they don't know. Yeah, I think that videos often are the only saving grace in these situations. Can you imagine if nobody filmed it? Right? I'm sure that Kintex Ho guy of Intex Auto Parts, he would have not been caught. I mean, it's a kind of, oh, this guy came over and beat up my car with a bat. But when you see the video, then it changes everything. And yeah, Karen, it's so disgusting, she writes. Thankfully, now these crimes are often caught on video and the criminals are caught and prosecuted. Yeah, I think you might be right, Dave. I'm not quite sure if they've caught the guy that beat up the person outside the SAP center. Now, what's causing it? Flo writes in, so now the street vendor is the target of NIMBY too. Ooh, interesting point. With a strong dash of hatred, I ask again, who is the street vendor hurting? The attacker should be prosecuted and have to pay their medical bills. Well, absolutely. I mean, Kintex Ho with Intex Auto Parts hit the guy with a bat. I'm not quite sure if that person was injured enough to get, you know, medical bills. But I still think, I mean, he was out there cooking again. So it hasn't slowed him down. And a lot of people have gone out there to support him. Somebody was saying you should go out there for your Friday food segment. I should. It's going to definitely go down on the list. But apparently news reports have been saying a lot of people in the community have been going out there. And you would think also, now I know it's an auto body shop and maybe it's not like just that drop-in type of business. But if somebody's like driving around or walking around businesses and you see some yummy and smell some yummy barbecue, you stop, you notice, oh, there's an auto parts store right there. Why not give it a shot, right? So those are the type of things that I think about of what's hurting these people. Now, Flo, bringing up the NIMBY aspect of it. Like, I don't want this because, again, let me show you that picture that the Kintex Ho with Intex Auto Parts posted. I guess it was from someone named Pedro on Google, which just from the name, I would think most likely Hispanic, of Hispanic descent, right? Awesome people, great stand-up Americans. Keep running them street roaches, I mean vendors, off the streets, trying to turn, and in bold, our country into a third world hole like theirs. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Where did you come from? There were signs outside the auto parts with the barbecue vendor. It says you can't claim land that's stolen or something to that effect. I mean, let's just remember where we all come from. It's just, it's really rich, right? Especially, you know, Kintex Ho, I have no idea where he was born, if he was born in America or not. But I bet at the very least, he has relatives that had come to this country. And it's just, it just bothers me that people just forget our history. JR writes, back home had several instances of restaurant owners vandalizing food trucks and street cart vendors, claiming it wasn't fair that they pay rent and taxes and those vendors take business away from them. Oh, that's an interesting point. But does that mean that you just get to beat them up? Of course not. I don't think anybody is saying that. What could be the response be? What could the response be? You know, I'm a brick and mortar restaurant and, you know, a couple doors down, there's a food truck taking some of my business. Perhaps you could, and I'm sure this won't work for every restaurant, so I'm going to say that first. But I would say, you know, what about going out there like the mall food courts do, right? Hey, look, here's some of our food. You want to taste our beignets? Kind of entice people into your restaurant. Yes, it's something you haven't had to do before. The world changes. The way that you need to advertise, get attention has changed. And so if a restaurant thinks it's below them to kind of put out, you know, samples of maybe their desserts or an appetizer to entice people in, then you're just willing to give up the business to the competition. And that's just what happens. Let's see. Gil writes in, that stretch of Old Bayshore Highway is known for street vending and barbecue. Interesting. Not sure why they snapped. They just had to be. I'm wondering if something happened, if there was some sort of, incident. Maybe somebody said something. Could have just been somebody was just really upset about it. Now, then there's, of course, rhetoric that comes from on high, as they say, political rhetoric. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, can't stand her, wish I didn't have to talk about her, but she's on like now important committees because of Kevin McCarthy being House Speaker. So she has come out and is calling for a national divorce. Did I take the picture of it? I thought I did. Hold on. Let me see. Yeah, here she is. So she writes, we need a national divorce. We need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this. Everyone I talk to, sure. From the sick and disgusting woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the Democrats' traitorous America last policies, we are done. A national divorce, separating us. No longer the United States of America, I guess. Now, Green posted a follow-up tweet, said, impeach Biden or give us a national divorce, as if those two things are the only options. GOP leaders have not yet commented on her rhetoric. Well, one person has, and you tell me if there's a difference. So Spencer Cox, I talked about him last week. He is the governor of Utah. He was out there with New Jersey's governor, Democratic governor, and Cox is a Republican. Talking to Biden during the National Governors Convention or whatever the hell it's called. Let's work together. Let's do all these things, which I fully 110% support. So Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, writes, this rhetoric, Marjorie Taylor Greene's rhetoric, this rhetoric is destructive and wrong and honestly evil. We don't need a divorce. We need marriage counseling. And we need elected leaders that don't profit by tearing us apart. We can disagree without hate. Healthy conflict was critical to our nation's founding and survival. He went on a tweet. This is Utah Governor Spencer Cox. As Reagan said, they love Reagan. These visitors do not come as black or white. They're not Jews or Christians, conservatives or liberals, or Democrats or Republicans. They are Americans, awed by what has gone before, proud of what for them is still a shining city on the hill. And then Cox continues. Last week, I saw American exceptionalism at work as governors from all across the country met with the president to solve problems. We didn't agree on everything, but we disagreed better, and we found ideas to bring us together. I still believe this is what Americans want. I don't mean civility and kindness. I don't just mean civility and kindness, although we definitely need more of that too. I mean passionate disagreement that doesn't destroy our souls and our country. Healthy conflict is good and foundational, but we must be Americans first and partisans second or last. And so on this President's Day, may we remember the sacrifice of those who died to preserve us a nation and all commit to rediscover our better angels as one nation under God with liberty and justice for all. Am I wrong in thinking that Cox is ignoring what he said about Californians not basically welcome in Utah? He called Californians that were moving to Utah refugees. So and this is my opinion. You guys can tell me I'm wrong. But it seems to me that Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, is saying what Marjorie Taylor Greene said, but in like a more Utahnian way, right? I mean, she's calling for a national divorce, separation of red and blue states, right? Away from woke culture. What do you think Cox meant when he said Californians need to stay and not move to Utah? Am I wrong in thinking it's just the same thing, except somebody used a little nicer language to say it? I mean, it just seems that the GOP, because they're both Republicans, maybe using different type of language, But it's the same mentality. And while Marjorie Taylor Greene may be saying it in a more blunt way, Cox saying it in his flowery way is just lipstick on a pig of anti-American rhetoric. He is saying we're not welcome there. He is saying don't bring California to Utah, as if California is this monolith, not made up of people from all around the country that has led to the California that we know and I love. Do we have problems? Yes. But I just feel like they're saying the same thing. We're not welcome there with whatever way that we're thinking. And that's anti-American, in my opinion. It just seems we need to call these people out no matter how they say it. And I called Cox out yesterday, and I'm calling him out again today. Now, not attacking him, but it's the same sort of mentality that people within their states and their base will pick up on. Let me read some of the comments coming in. Karen writes, yeah, we need a national divorce from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Absolutely. I mean, I wish she would go away, but nope. I mean, she's being put on a lot of committees. I mean, again, let me just go into more of what she said. She said, we need to separate by red states and blue states and shrink the federal government. Everyone I talk to says this. From the sick and disgusting woke culture issues shoved down our throats to the Democrats' traitorous America Last policies. Again, separate by red and blue states. North and the South. I mean, are we rewinding all the progress we have made? It was actually December of 2021 when Marjorie Taylor Greene made the implicit call for breaking up the country. All possible in a national divorce scenario, she wrote on Twitter. After Democrat voters and big donors ruin a state like California, you would think it wise to stop them from doing it to another great state like Florida. Brainwashed people that move from California and New York really need a cooling off period. Maybe we should put them in internment camps, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, how many dark moments of our American history would you like to relive? It's absolutely disgusting, the rhetoric that is coming from her. Robert Garcia. What is Robert Garcia? I know that name. Hold on. Let me. He's a congressman. That's from Long Beach City. All right. He said to Marjorie Taylor Greene, you are a danger to the country and you only want to divide us. You are literally calling for secession, which is pretty on brand for traitors like you. How do you call yourself a proud American? How do you call yourself an American when you want to separate the United States of America? Can you call yourself a proud American? Should you even be allowed to serve with this type of rhetoric? David French is a New York Times columnist. His reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene. The dangerous thing about this tweet is not that an individual member of Congress is this radical. There are always at least a few crank members of Congress. Is that she speaks for a very real part of the right. I hear that same sentiment all the time. Now that's frightening. That's what scares me about this type of rhetoric being allowed to just go unanswered. Now I'm reading your reaction, but is there going to be a reaction from Kevin McCarthy? Is he going to say anything about this? Is he going to pull her from committees? I agree, Mindy. She should be kicked out of Congress. Mo writes, red states, no sidewalks or healthcare, mental health, and the rate of education is questionable. It's sad. It really is sad. One columnist with Politico, a former federal prosecutor, was also responding to Marjorie Taylor Greene. He said the last time some states decided to, quote unquote, separate from the Union, the Civil War made clear for all time that we are indivisible. We're all in this together. Advocating for the dissolution of the United States is treasonous and un-American. Exactly. But don't hold your breath that Kevin McCarthy is going to do anything. Do not Did you hear that he has released, not publicly, not to everybody, but House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has released 41,000 hours of surveillance footage filmed during the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. He gave the footage directly to Fox News host Tucker Carlson. Now, this is according to a report from Axios. Carlson TV producers were on Capitol Hill last week, according to Axios, to begin digging through the trove, which includes multiple camera angles from all over the Capitol grounds. Excerpts will begin airing in the coming weeks. Thanks, McCarthy, for giving a news organization that just last week we found out was blatantly lying about election fraud. Please give them all the footage to show, to help their ratings, perhaps. How many in the comments believe that Tucker Carlson is going to change his view of January 6th after going through those 41,000 hours? How many? I don't know what they're going to pull. I don't know how they're going to cut that stuff up to make them feel okay about what happened on January 6th. Because you'll remember, Tucker Carlson and many people really were downplaying this. On air, Tucker Carlson described the attack. Oh, hold on. Yeah. So on air, he described the attack as storming of the Capitol. But in the months that followed, he pulled back a bit. He described it as a non-violent election justice protest. Also suggested it may be a false flag. But in an interview with Axios, Tucker Carlson said there was never any legitimate reason for the footage to remain secret. Okay, then I ask you, Tucker, how much of the January 6th committee hearings that had so much footage did you watch? Did you air? Did you cover nonstop? It's just, it's ridiculous. Yeah, and Chris is right. Tucker and MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, are just in it for the money. They're sold to the devil. Let's see. If there was ever a question, Tucker Carlson says, that it's in the public interest to know, it's what actually happened on January 6th. Hey, Tucker, we watched it live. Do you forget that the American people watched it, and not just on news programs, on their phone, from the people that were storming the Capitol, live streaming it? But this is like the ultimate gaslighting, right? So we see something. We see something, videos from people that are actually there, but no, Tucker, we need you and faux news to dissect it for us and to tell us what we saw and heard with our own eyes. He says it's impossible for me to understand why any honest person would be bothered by that, because you're not an honest person, Tucker Carlson. Because you and Fox News knew you were lying about Dominion voting systems, knew that former President Trump was lying about the election fraud, knew President Biden won that election, and yet still lie to the American people to this day. That's the problem. And so for House Speaker Kevin McCarthy to give you, Tucker Carlson of all people, and Fox News these tapes, as if you guys will officially decide what the truth is laughable. It's absolutely laughable. John writes, I'm sure Zuck Carlson will come up with some new conspiracy theories about the January 6th insurrection. I agree. I mean, he's going to have to stretch to twist himself into some sort of pretzel to make whatever he believes or has been spouting as the truth. I was going to sell that to the people that watch his stupid show. And that's the problem. So many people do. We talked about this last week when the whole Dominion voting systems and the text messages that showed that they knew it was all BS came out. This idea of, people just have Fox News on in the background. They just listen to it. They're not dissecting it. They consider it news. And anything that comes out saying, no, they're lying, they don't believe. That's the problem, is that they take it, as 100% fact. And so there should be a responsibility held by those that do that, and they just don't. And that's scary. It absolutely is scary. But again, Tucker Carlson isn't going to do anything about it. Fox News isn't going to do anything about it. the GOP, Kevin McCarthy, they're not going to do anything about it. I want to share this one video with you. And it's basically the harm that Fox News has done, not just to what their party is, right? But just to the country and truth as a whole. So here's a political commentator, Jeff Duncan. He was also the former lieutenant governor of Georgia, talking about the harm Fox News has done.
Well, look, it's not surprising to see eventually all these facts and figures are coming out. It's taken 2 years to get here. The AJC this morning was full of text messages and indictment, speculations. What happened on Fox News was hard for the Republican Party, right? It might take a decade to unwind some of those fanning of the flames of all these conspiracy theories, and it was painful to watch and listen to. But I think all of media needs to find a better balance of managing a business model, which, look, this is a for-profit operation in every media outlet, but also how we tell the news and how do we use that as a weapon or as a resource.
I agree. I mean, there is the business aspect of media, and you can't deny it, right? Everybody needs to make money, and there's huge salaries. But there should be a responsibility. And I hope that this Dominion voting systems lawsuit can hopefully change something. Now, should the average viewer be more educated about when they're listening to news versus commentary? I give commentary. This is a talk show where I share my opinion and I get yours. I bring people on to, if we're talking about a specific issue. So for instance, if we were talking about the vendor attack, and let's just say I had the vendor on, he's giving me his take. I'm presenting facts. But I make it abundantly clear when I'm sharing my opinion. And you guys should know that this is a show in which we dissect and share opinions and viewpoints about what's going on. It doesn't change the fact that the Dominion voting system lawsuit is going forward. It doesn't change the fact that those texts were uncovered and showed that Tucker Carlson and the execs at Fox News knew and yet still perpetrated conspiracy theories regarding the last election. I mean, you can't pick and choose truths in that sense. But I can tell you how I feel about it, and I can gauge how you feel about it. Now, this is, of course, a little more obvious. The problem is something like Fox News, where they give news for hours and then bring on commentators, and the average person just takes it as all news. Or, the late Rush Limbaugh, who really, arguably, but I think that if you're in the radio business, changed talk radio. I would not necessarily say for the better, but did. I mean, he was iconic in talk radio, conservative talk radio. Now, did he use his platform in a way that made it better? I don't think so. I think that he began a type of news, quote unquote, program that blurred that line where people didn't know. I know people that listen to Rush Limbaugh religiously and called him a journalist and would not believe me when I said he's not a journalist, he's a commentator. If people don't know the difference, how do you educate them? How do you tell people that, look, this woman or this man is sharing their opinion about something, that it's not facts? You can't just hide behind, and this is what former President Trump was infamous for, and Tucker Carlson does the same thing, so does Sean Hannity and others. People say, I'm just asking the question, raising concerns, kind of like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Everybody wants to split up, right? Everybody I talk to talks about splitting up. Everybody, because the minute that you brought it up, all of a sudden, everyone's calling you anti-American. That's what's happening. So yeah, it's difficult in this day and age to separate news and commentary. Karen's right. Tucker Carlson is paid big bucks to lie. He is. And he doesn't care. Flo writes in, how Carlson or anyone can deny the facts of the terrible, tragic January 6th day is beyond comprehension. Mo says there was nothing unique that happened on January 6th. All they did was ratify the election. Well, I mean, if you don't count the stuff that was happening outside that spilled inside, I will have to disagree. Fox News is run by Murdoch, who got his start in the tabloids. Hence, Fox quote-unquote news is tabloid fodder. It's all BS, and they know it because BS sells. Look at what The Sun, etc., publishes in the UK. You're right, Karen. You're absolutely right. Flo says, at least with your show and Mark's, Nikki, plus similar ones, you give real news and compelling yet entertainment commentary responsibly. It's a model other shows should follow. I feel like the words, in my opinion, are not used enough on television. I think they should say that more often. I think Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper and all of those people, Tucker Carlson, I don't watch Fox News, but those people, that have their names on the show should make it abundantly clear that it's their opinion. And stop acting like what they're talking about and what they're spewing is facts. It's their opinion. It's how they view it. Say that you don't like how it looks. I don't like how this looks. But you can't say it's fact because that's what's gotten these people in so much trouble. And so we'll see. We'll see if anything comes of this. We'll see if, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there could be some change in this 24-hour news cycle, which I always have to mention when we talk about Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I do maintain that the problem is the actual clock. The 24-hour news channel in general is flawed. If you have 24 hours where you have to fill, everything seems like a big ass deal, right? Oh my God, we're going to cover this wall to wall. Well, is it worthy of wall to wall coverage? If people are keeping your channel on in the background and you go wall to wall with some story that you just have maybe a lot of B-roll about or is just really great visually, that's going to really impact the importance of how that story is perceived by those who are listening and watching. When it may not be the biggest news story of the day, it's the biggest news story to you. I miss the days where CNN stopped, right? I used to watch a lot of CNN when I first entered the news biz in college. I watched a lot of it. And it would actually repeat. Does anyone remember when CNN would repeat? Like this was the news of the day, and they just play it again. Same shows, just play it again. And it kind of put things into perspective. And then, of course, we had 9/11 and we had the war and things went wall to wall. All right. Give us a thumbs up in the chats and the YouTubes. YouTubes loves it. We will, of course, be switching gears in just a moment. I saw a comment that I want to respond to. Kim doesn't have the afternoon off. She's having some internet issues. I don't know. I wasn't able to tune into Mark's show too much today. I just got a text from her that apparently it's not looking good. I know she was on Mark's show, but I know Mark was having internet issues. So apparently Kim also is having internet issues. So maybe she can hop on, but we'll see. We'll just do the show without her. We miss Kim. We want her news, but believe me, I know about internet issues. I'm hoping my connection, I know it's been a little bit glitchy. I've seen your guys' comments. I think this is probably going to be the best I can do, but I'll share a secret. The kids are home. It's a holiday week, so they're on their phones and they're probably draining my damn internet bandwidth or some crap. I should turn it off. But yeah, hopefully it's a lot clearer and you could just get the sound. And welcome to 2023, where we have so much technology, but nothing's perfect. But yeah, the Xfinity guy came out just to give you an update because you guys have been following along. My cable line was chewed by squirrels. Actually showed it to me. Did a lot of damage. And I have my new desk and it's moved. We're getting some decorative stuff coming this week. So thank you, Lisa. I look and sound great today. So yeah, it's great. But yeah, so we're going to figure it all out. If Kim can hop on her internet, hopefully she will. And if not, you're just going to get me for the next hour or so. And yeah, because this actually takes us into our next topic, which is I work from home. Obviously, I worked from home. If you follow me from Station X, KGO, I did work during COVID, pretty much right after the launch of my show, the Morning Drive show with Nikki Medoro on KGO. I think 2 weeks after I launched, COVID hit. So most of my show was at home. And then after they unceremoniously let us go, I moved it here. And I love it. I really do. The technical aspect I could do without. Do I miss traditional radio? Absolutely. I do. I'm not going to lie. I love this show. I love having my own show. I wish I could have the best of both worlds and do both. So maybe someday. But this work from home is really sweet. I mean, I work a lot. I've said this before. I do. It's not even a question. I work more now than I did at KGO simply because we're a own crew. I mean, we have Kim doing news. I had a producer. We had, IT guys that if something was going on with the internet or something like that, they would handle it. We don't have that anymore. So yeah, it's a lot more difficult, not to mention doing every aspect of the show. But coming out of bed, being able to be home with my kids, it's great. There has been some research into this kind of work-life balance that we've been really investigating since COVID. Now, last week, Amazon did come out, and like many employers have been, and they want corporate employees going back to the office starting May 1st. So we touched on this last week. Amazon said on Friday that it plans to require employees to be in the office for at least 3 days a week starting on May 1st. Their CEO said the move to in-person work makes it easier to collaborate, learn, and build workplace culture. Andy Jassy says, I'm also optimistic that the shift will provide a boost for the thousands of businesses located around our urban headquarter locations in the Puget Sound, Virginia, Nashville, and dozens of cities around the world where our employees go to the office. There will be some exceptions to the hybrid work model, such as for sales and customer support roles, but that will be a small minority. Do you think, 3+ years into COVID, that we have fundamentally changed how we view the work week? There was a great interview done by PBS, and it was looking at the cost and the benefits of switching to, let's just say, a 4-day work week, right? Not to mention, just working from home, but a 4-day work week. So they interviewed this guy, Joe O'Connor, who actually helped develop a 4-day work week pilot program. And so Joe was talking with PBS. And let me play you some of the sound here. And you guys tell me what you think, because on one hand, I like the work from home hybrid model. 4-day work weeks, could that actually work? So here again, Joe O'Connor, who helped develop a pilot program for this, talking about why it works.
Because we've seen in the trials that have taken place in the United States, in the United Kingdom, and elsewhere all over the world over the course of the last year, that most of the companies participating in those trials have said they plan on making the policy permanent. Their revenue has either remained stable or has increased during the trial, and they've experienced that their productivity has been able to be maintained and in many cases even improved. Unsurprisingly, we saw improvements across a whole range of different well-being indicators amongst employees that participated in the trials, but it's something that can actually be better for business too.
All right, so what do you think? Let's welcome. Can we welcome? Let's welcome Kim McAllister. Are you here? Hi.
I can hear you now. Yeah, I'm on my iPhone. So.
Oh, look at you making it work.
I'm trying to.
Okay. Well,
there have been complaints about Comcast service in our area. So today they had maintenance to try to fix it once and for all, but they didn't tell anybody they were going to do that. So the service is internet service is down for 6 hours in my neighborhood.
Oh no!
Thanks,
it's okay. I mean, yeah, you're a little just glitchy, but the sound is good. So
okay,
you know what? Keep it going. And if you drop out, we totally understand. Believe me.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the 4-day work week, Kim. And you just heard Joe O'Connor, who did this pilot program. And he's talking about why it works. But then there's this economist by the name of Daniel Hammermesh. And he's an economist at the University of Texas. And he's kind of saying, look, there is always going to be a cost for stuff like this. Here he is.
I can't believe that if, in fact, this were applied universally, even fairly broadly, that we wouldn't see a substantial decline in output and a substantial resulting decline in people's incomes. If employers could do this, my question is, why haven't they done this? Everybody would win. I just don't think they can very broadly.
And I think he has a point. And I'll play you some more from Joe O'Connor, again, who did the pilot program for the 4-day work week. But I also think it's a mentality that COVID gave us, right? I mean, we had to work from home. We had to kind of, just work within these different types of parameters. And if you're not forced to do it, why would you? And then the devil's advocate, of course, is, well, then if it totally benefits employers for everyone to be there 5 days a week or whatever, why not 7 days? I mean, obviously, there is this mutually agreed upon idea that we should have some days off where we don't work. Here's Joe O'Connor again saying, well, obviously, not one size fits all.
I'm not arguing that the 4-day week, 9 to 5, should become the new normal everywhere, because as we know, there are many sectors, many industries, many companies that don't have a 5-day 9 to 5. What I'm arguing is that most companies today who operate on a 5-day 9 to 5 basis could move to a 4-day week without necessarily needing to increase headcount and without necessarily damaging on their business performance, priorities, or productivity. When they attack inefficiencies like overlong and unnecessary meetings, distractions in the workday, processes that are outdated or inefficient, and poor use of technology, that they can go a long way to offering a shorter work week to their employees without undermining the bottom line.
What about Daniel's other point, that if this is such a great idea, why haven't businesses already done it?
Well, the reason why businesses haven't done it is that before the pandemic, it wasn't acceptable in society or in business, this idea that you could run a global company from your kitchen table, this idea that you could be as productive at home as you could be in the office. And it took a big game changer like the pandemic to dislodge a lot of these cultural and societal norms. I believe the same is true with the shorter working week. This has opened the eyes of leaders and of managers that there are different ways of working that are possible.
I could not agree more. I think that, and I always say this, if you go to the office to then sit at your desk all day, I'm not talking about the assembly line, right? Where you kind of have to be there, or the emergency room or the operating room or something like that. If you go from one desk at home to another desk at the office and spend 90% of your time there, not interacting with other people, not going to meetings, then why the hell can't you do that at home? Plus, again, when we're in a high cost of living, congested area like the Bay Area, it gets fewer people. It gets more people off the road, fewer people driving during those commute hours. And it just makes logical sense to me. And I don't know about you, Kim, and I could probably speak for you, but I work way more efficiently from home because I have to get things done within a certain time frame. You know, when you're in the office and they bring you in for 8 hours and you only really have to work like 3. And so you're just filling that time with BS. I'm going to chit chat with this person. I'm going to go eat. I'm going to have a snack. If you smoke, I'm going to have a smoke break, whatever, because you feel like you have to fill all those moments.
So before video, just speaking of working in our industry, which is radio, before we were on video, we might be talking to each other, but not of being able to see each other. And so there was a thing that we missed in doing that, where you get a lot when you look at each other, when you see each other, right? But when you can't, you lose that kind of part of the conversation, which does translate to radio. We didn't have that. But once we went to video and we were able to see each other, it just seemed like, why not do it at home? It didn't make sense not to. And it opened up a whole wide world of other possibilities as well. So I'm all for working at home if you can pull it off and make it work, despite my internet connectivity issues today.
Well, the truth of the matter is, We had internet connectivities. We were off air at the radio station. It's not as if you're in a radio station, and we're just obviously using that as the example because that's where we worked. But it's not as if these things don't happen. IT problems happen. People have computer issues. People get, look at Oakland. They had their freaking cyber attack and their stuff was down. But they're sitting in the office all upset. So yeah, it does matter. Vilma writes in, maybe a 4-day work week would work if you had part of the office working Monday, Thursday, another part of the office Tuesday through Friday. Perhaps. I want to play one more clip. Again, this is Joe O'Connor, who is addressing another question, which was, what about instead of like 34 days, 32 hours, still a 40-day work week or 40-hour work day in 4 days? And Joe wasn't sold on that.
The difficulty I would have with that model in a lot of cases, particularly when you're talking about knowledge-based or, work that used to be maybe primarily office-based, now is hybrid or remote, I'm not persuaded or convinced that people are as productive in their 9th or 10th hour on a Wednesday necessarily as they might be in their 1st or 2nd hour on a Friday. I'm also not persuaded that from a burnout perspective, that people are likely to be better rested after 4 10-hour days than they might be after 5 8-hour days. So I think the research is not conclusive that this is something that necessarily in lots of job types is good for business and good for people. And the other point I would make is that it overlooks the power of the incentive, the ability to be able to get some of their time back in exchange for the same pay, that people are incredibly focused and motivated and driven while they're at work in order to achieve the goals and the targets of the company.
Which is to get the hell home. I mean, I want to, as I work for businesses, I want to be a good employee so that they are successful. In exchange, I want some of my life back. Right. And so if I know that if I work hard and don't give them a reason to question or want to take back the benefit, and I'm using that in quotes, of getting some of my time away from work back, I think that works. Now, Wes wrote in, my company works in the finance area. I don't think they could do it. A lot of our stuff relies on banking hours. Okay, but can't you just do that from home, Wes, is my question. Can't they set you up at home so that instead of wasting all of that time driving, you could just do it from home? I'm assuming it's on the computer. I mean, I could be wrong, but I feel like everything's on the computers nowadays. So yeah, I'm really curious, Kim, to see not just if the kind of hybrid work schedule, but if a 4-day work week, like that a lot of people have, is going to become the norm, just as a 5-day work week is the norm for people. Flo, though, brings up another excellent point about schools. It might not work for schools.
I was just reading a story about child labor and how it's becoming, people are paying less attention to it. So businesses are using young people age 14 to, 19, and they're not paying attention to child labor laws and putting them in unsafe conditions. So I think unless you're really paying attention to stuff like that, business and industry seems to kind of, creep back up and take advantage of people. So I feel like there's a lot of businesses that would really fight against a 4-day work week.
Oh yeah. I don't think that businesses, a lot of businesses, I know there are some, I don't think a lot of businesses want to lead the way in this arena, because there's always that fear of, well, if my people aren't working, my competitors' people are. And that worry is just what's going to, kill the morale and the support of this type of idea. And that's why it's up to kind of the workers to prove, like, look, productivity will not go down, but obviously our feelings about the job, maybe employee retention could get better. And so that's what's going to have to happen. It's going to have to be a fundamental shift from top of business on down. Karen writes in the last, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm being told my internet service has been restored. So,
okay. Do you want to give it a shot?
Take me away, and I will, zap me out of the shot, and I'll see if I can.
All right. We'll see if Kim McAllister will come back. All right. Good luck, my friend. All right. Karen writes in the last 40 years, the American worker has sacrificed their lives, their families, all for business, so that they can reach big profit numbers. Yes. And in exchange, I would say this also, Karen, you do get paid for that. Now, do you get paid enough? No. Do you get paid enough in comparison to CEO pay? Hell no. I mean, CEO pay is obscene in comparison to the average worker within companies. Obscene. I wish there was a more obscene word than obscene, because it's greed, plain and simple. And you guys can say, oh, it's stock options, left, right, and whatever. It should be more fairly split, the success of a company down to its average worker. I just feel that way. I really, really do. Let's see. Yep. Karen says industry has not been able to achieve what they have without the backs of people working like dogs. And Kim was mentioning child labor laws. There was one company, and forgive me, I just thought of it because she mentioned it, so I don't have the story up. They were having children. This is in the United States. I want to say Pennsylvania, but I'll have to double check. They were having children, young kids, teenagers, cleaning like razor sharp stuff, hurting themselves with like caustic chemicals. That needs to be fixed. I'm not talking about child labor laws. I'm just talking about being able to work legal avenues and making sure people have a life and paying them enough for it. Knit writes in, Knit One, Pearl One, writes, Karen is right. Also, some people have poor work ethics. Others have better and have to pick up the slack. There you go. Andrea says, I've been working from home since 1995, barely had internet. It's much easier these days, I can imagine. I've always been extra productive. I can't imagine going into an office, right? I really do think that COVID opened so many people's eyes. I never thought. I mean, I knew that I could probably do something like this. I never knew how I was going to be able to do it until COVID hit. And then we had to. And then I was trained to. And, you know, maybe things happen for a reason. I'm not saying COVID, but things prepare you in life for, you know, certain obstacles or opportunities, whichever way you want to look at it. And so I'm really happy that, not that COVID happened, but that while COVID happened, I was able to learn and get used to broadcasting in this way, because then when Station X unceremoniously let us all go and switched formats, that I was ready to jump on this. Now, there's still a bit of a learning curve. I had to learn YouTube and streaming and all those sorts of things, but I'm trying my best. And I think that all of us together have been really making it work. All right. I'll read more of your comments, but when we come back, and Kim's still trying to get her news, but we're going to switch gears just a bit. I want to talk about some, you know, we're talking about doing work, where our money goes, all those sorts of things. Social media has changed the landscape, has changed the way people communicate, has changed the way people advertise. I would say arguably Facebook and that sort of advertising has disrupted the market as much as Craigslist did back in the day, right? Away from newspapers. Well, now Facebook wants to follow in Twitter's footsteps and have you pay for verification. So let me know in the comments, what are you willing to pay for? Knowing how much social media, and I'm not just talking about how much of a role it plays in your personal life, but how much of a role it plays in life, in American society, in the way people communicate, in the way people sell things, okay? Because that is a truth, whether it's true in your life to the same degree or not. Do you think it's time for people to start paying for things like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter? And do you think it will make those platforms better? I also want to get into paying for the Super Bowl. Would you want it to be a pay-per-view event? And would that work for, let's say, advertisers or for you? All right, but before we get to that, please click the thumbs up to show support of the show. We really do appreciate it. For some reason, and again, it's above my pay grade to actually explain why, but it really does help kind of share the show algorithmically, I guess, on YouTube. And so if you can do that for us, that really, really helps us out. Also, I want to give some shout outs right now. We've been getting a lot of people who have been supporting us in the super chat. David started us off with a $10 super sticker. Thank you, David, so very much. The super stickers are fun. You do a super thanks, a super comments. I'll read your comments if you include it in your donation. Just look for that $sign, and you can do it during the show or during the replay. Wes also came in with a $5 super sticker. I love it, Wes. Andreas, a huge supporter of the show. not just one $10 donation, but another $10 donation. I love it. I love it. I love it. And Lady Beatrice coming in with not just one $5 donation, talking about the San Jose vendor attacks. No shame whatsoever. No reason to attack the vendor. And then she donated another $5 and writes, I think it's because a lot of street vendors, not all are immigrants, so it's racism. So she's saying it's just straight up racism, not necessarily the job that they're doing. Thank you, Lady Beatrice, and everybody in the super chat for donating whatever amount. And again, it's up there throughout the show. You can do it during replay as well, and it helps us out. Also, if you want, become a monthly Patreon subscriber. So many of you have. It helps us out. It keeps the money consistent. And so just go to theNikkiMedoroShow.com, donate to our Patreon, become a monthly Patreon subscriber. And we really, really love it. And you'll get a thank you from me. I'm getting through them all. PayPal's up and running at theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. We do have the merchandise. If you're new to the show, here's a picture of some of the merch that we have up. And there's more on the actual website, theNikkiMedoroShop.com. Here's some of the hoodies. There's black and there's also white. Both have the logo on the back and a red or a black air tower in the front. See it right there? It's really cute. We have AirPod cases, both the Pro and the Classic. We have tumblers. We have coffee cups. So again, just check it out, theNikkiMedoroShop.com. And of course, please support our founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. He is the tax guy, the tax guru. He has a whole team of hard-working people that will walk you through whatever tax situation you have. Steve has been talking since COVID about ERC and making sure you get the money that you're owed. And he does the hard work. There's the easy math problem that he does, and then there's the facts and circumstances that he talks about. And him and his team will dig into both to make sure that you get the money you deserve. He told this crazy story of a woman passing up $900,000 in ERC money because she was afraid of getting audited. You don't have to be afraid of getting audited either. Steve and his team will be there instead of you. You don't even have to handle it. They have the special IRS line. They have the right words to say. And so you have somebody on your side. So again, give Steve Moskowitz a call. Tell him Nikki sent you. The Nikki Medoro Show sent you. 888 tax deal. MoskowitzLLP.com is the number to call and to really, really get you the help you need, especially as tax season's coming up. It's April 18th this year, not 15th. Because of the weekend, it falls on a Saturday, and then there's a holiday, so it's all like that. So, all right, do we have Kim? Let's see if Kim's back. All right. Oh, nope, your internet's not apparently ready to go. I see you, but apparently
no, still on the iPhone.
All right. Oh, it's okay. We love seeing your face, and I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. I don't have news for you either because I don't have an internet connection. So
it's okay. You could just banter back and forth with me. There, no, I want your opinion on everything. That's what I want from you. All right. Well, let's ask this question.
So
how much would you pay?
You know, when you have that happen, it's like
I know. Believe me, I know. I was dealing with it all last week and the week before. All right. So let's talk about social media. How much of you? How much would you pay for social media? Would you pay for Facebook? Would you pay to be verified on Facebook or Instagram?
I saw that story today. What are they doing at like $11.99 a month or something?
Yeah. So Mark Zuckerberg wants to do this verification system. Meta Verified would be $11.99 a month on the web and $14.99 a month on iOS, which I think is total BS. I mean, just make it one. It will let you verify your account with a government ID, get a blue badge, get extra impersonation protection against accounts claiming to be used, and get direct access to customer support. How many people?
Let me just get this straight. They want everything. They want to know everything about me. They want to take my information, use it, and sell it. They want to pump ads to me that are directly related to all the things I'm searching for, looking for. I thought it was a deal where I gave them my information for free and they let me use their service for free. But now they also want money from me on top of completely violating every privacy right that I had. I don't know, Facebook. I think that means that you've got to change some things. If you're going to take my money, that means you're not going to take, all my information and sell it to the highest bidder, right?
I agree. And you know what's $12 to $15 a month is a lot. I mean, that's more than in some plans Netflix. So you're telling me, Zuck, that you think Facebook and Instagram is worth more to people and more entertaining than watching movies? I don't think so. SF Tesla, though, writes in, the websites want to go to a pay format because they see newspapers, which do provide some content, getting monthly subscribers, suckers, and the movie apps getting monthly too. Yeah, but I'm getting news and I'm getting movies. What's Facebook giving me? Conspiracy theories and, dog pics? I don't know if it's worth it, right? I'm not getting
commercials, and I'm getting commercials all over Facebook.
Right. And I like that you brought up commercials, because I'm wondering what's this going to do to people that use Facebook and Instagram for their business. Now, we use social media to promote this show. I do not pay for verification on Twitter. I don't think that I would ever pay for it on Facebook either. But then does that mean that organic views and things like that won't happen anymore? Are we just not going to have the reach unless we fork over this amount of money, which makes it extremely scary to small businesses such as ours that are kind of hoping and banking on the fact that you don't have to pay for it. Is that fair? I don't know.
Is it fair to charge people so that we can advertise and tell them about our show? I feel like, what are we paying for? Are we paying for the ads? I like Facebook. I like connecting with people that otherwise probably would have been lost to the, history of my life, right? I like seeing what's going on with people that I enjoyed hanging out with in high school, or former coworkers, or whatever it may be. But the question is, are you willing to pay for that?
Yeah, I don't know. And I want people to see our show. Wes writes in,
keep in touch with people.
I don't know. I mean, you could also just get their cell phone number and text them, right? That's what my brother does a lot of the times. He broke up with Facebook and Instagram, and he's like, look, just send me pictures of the kids, write me funny things on my text thread. Wes says, I'll pay for entertainment like this show or content, but something like Facebook is just a fancy billboard. So, maybe leaning more into the Patreon model, where it's like, you don't have to pay for Facebook, but, if you want to continue to see the show and get all the content, you have to become a monthly subscriber. At least you know what you're getting in that case. David writes in, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk have a distorted view of what constitutes a trivial amount of money. $15 a month is a lot of money for people. It's it's way too much.
Something you were getting for free.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I like what you said about what am I getting? I'm giving you all my data. Do you not get my data anymore? Do you not track me anymore? Are you not, doing any of those sorts of things? Because if that's the case, then maybe, but how do I even prove that? How do I prove that you're not stealing my data and showing me ads? You don't, right?
That was their whole business model, is that, they were going to collect data from people, and it was supposed to be, they were going to have this Facebook wallet, and they were going to market to you, and they were going to, do all these things. And I feel like you can tell by the fact that Google's making billions and quadrillions of dollars, and Facebook is too, that their marketing kind of stealth online marketing strategy there's a lot of money to be made. So why are you wanting more?
Exactly. Well, because they're greedy, and because I think it's because they're getting saturated. No, I think Netflix, we talked about this last week. Netflix, they're scared about growing because they kind of feel like everybody that has a subscription or wants a subscription has one. So now you need to still make more money.
Right.
Growth isn't necessarily the end all be all, although I'm sure that's not spoken like a business. It's spoken like a person. Just make the content better, and I'll continue to pay it. If the content sucks, I'm going to pull my money. Mutilating Blast writes in, Netflix is $14.99, but Wes writes in, $15 is more expensive than HBO. You can get HBO for $7.99 now. I think when you put it in perspective, what am I getting? And again, if you're going to go back to what we were talking about with January 6th, the role that social media played in disseminating conspiracy theories
Yeah.
and how they haven't really gotten a handle on any of that. So wait a minute. Now I'm paying to be spoon-fed BS that you're not even fact-checking because it's for the public interest. Give me a friggin' break over here. So I don't think
I was going to say, I like the way LinkedIn does it, where it's like it's a free service, but if you want to message someone or you want more information about someone, well, then you got to cough up the money. So it's like they link you, they get you in, they hook you in, they link you in, and then they're going in for the money. So that kind of seems more fair to me. You know, if you want extra.
That's a good analogy. I mean, I think they think the extra is this verification, which I think they're overestimating how many times people or how much people care about being impersonated versus just putting out a message to your friends like, hey, I've been hacked. Don't click that link, which I never do. If I'm already friends with you on Facebook, I never will become friends with another account. It'll never happen. You could just figure it out. And if you could reach out to me, we had one friend that said had a different name and a different account. And I reached out to her privately and was like, is this you? She's like, yes, it's me. I had to change it for whatever reason. I was like, okay, I'll do that. But no. Okay. How about paying for
recently where I got
got
hacked
hacked
on Instagram and someone took my picture and created a different account. And I noticed like hundreds of people that I know were accepting that because I don't use Instagram. So someone created one pretending to be me and then was trying to scam people into money. Really frustrating when that happens. Yeah.
So did you see the post that they were posting? Like, give me money. Is that what they were asking?
Yeah. Some people copied the message and sent it to me saying, this is what they're doing. And it was like some unemployment scam that they were trying to put on people.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's
to me, that's obvious, but maybe it's not obvious to everyone. It still works, so they wouldn't be doing it, right? So.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, the Nigerian prince thing still floats around. So obviously that will too. Would you pay to watch the Super Bowl though, Kim McAllister? And I know the answer is probably no, since you're not that big of a football watcher, but what do you think about the idea of making, yeah, right. I'm not paying, what is it? $250? How much money?
No.
To buy the Super Bowl to air it.
No.
Do you think this is a bad move to even float to people?
I guess I don't understand where the money's going. Is the money going to the network or is the money going to the NFL or what's happening? Because isn't it already, I was talking to Mark about this. It's like $70 million a minute or something to run an ad on the Super Bowl. Are they not getting enough money? Like what do they, I don't understand why you need to charge people.
Well, there was one analysis by Pro Football Talk, and they were saying that the NFL consists of 32 distinct businesses. The league cannot engage in collective business practices and strategies, such as fixing prices or setting non-player compensation. And so that's how the NFL basically works. It enjoys antitrust exemptions, has to follow federal labor laws, all those sorts of things. So there's also an act of Congress that created an exemption for the NFL from the prohibition on selling broadcast rights to his games as a group. Now, without that exemption, the league can't say to networks, you buy a package of our games, we decide what games you get. So the next networks would do business directly with the teams. So, for instance, there would be a Cowboys package that would result in fewer dollars, and it would test the limits of the owners to share revenue. So I think this is just a way for the NFL to possibly get more money and have more control over that money. Calvin says the money goes to the NFL owners' greedy pockets.
If they can afford to pay football players exorbitant salaries, they don't need my $250.
Right. That's true. Right.
I mean, if they can afford to pay people, I don't know, pick $1 million, 17 million, 50 million, 100 million a year, whatever the contracts are worth. If they can afford that, then I think they're okay. I'm not or not paying them $250. And if that makes them fold, well, then guess what? A bunch of people won't have head injuries.
That's very true. David writes in, if my team, the Niners, is not playing in the Super Bowl, I'm not paying a penny to watch. I'm sure many fans feel the same.
Right. Yeah.
Vilma says,
Yeah.
I would not pay to watch the Super Bowl. I love football, but out of my own pocket, no. They make enough money. I'll listen to it on the radio. And Wes says fewer people would watch the Super Bowl if you had to pay, and the companies that buy ads probably wouldn't pay those huge sums with less people watching. That was my point. Absolutely, Wes. I completely agree. Advertisers pay $7.5 million because they know it is a TV watching event. People, even if they're not that interested in the Super Bowl, will go to a party, they'll have it on, they'll see their ads. Now, you've condensed that group down to people that not only are interested in this event, but are willing to pay $250. I think that's a smaller pool of people, and I wouldn't pay $7.5 million. Although, let me ask this question. How many of you in the comments have forked over a ton of money to watch a pay-per-view boxing event? Boxing, arguably, I know they have a lot of, different matches or events or bouts or whatever the hell you call it, but they're shorter. There's no guarantee it's going to go, all the way. It's not like football where there's a set time. Boxing, that guy knocks you out in the first round. That's it. You could have paid how much for pay-per-view and the fight is over like that. So there's no guarantee that what you pay for is going to last longer than the nachos that you just filled your plate with. So, but people still do that. People still pay for pay-per-view boxing.
Yeah.
Could this kind of be the same thing?
I paid $20
right?
to rent a movie the other day on pay-per-view.
Oh, I lost you a little bit.
I paid.
19 for what movie?
Oh, I was going to say I paid $19.99 to Plane, Gerard Butler.
I lost you a little bit. It was with Gerard Butler. I don't know what movie it was though.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll pay for a movie, but that definitely lasts 2 hours, right? A boxing match would not.
Right.
Let's see. Eric says, I don't watch sports, pay or not, right? But Mutilating Blast says, I did it only once for an MMA fight. Now there's the featherweights, there's all different types of, fights before the main event that you're paying for. So it lasts that long. But still, if you're paying, let's just say $200 to see, and remember back in the day, Evander Holyfield and Mike Tyson, and remember how that fight did not last very long. Are you getting what you're paying for? Is it worth it? I don't think so. Exactly. Carrie said, remember Mike Tyson? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Mike Tyson knocked that guy out in the first round in 15 seconds. And how many people bought it, wanting to see this huge fight? And in boxing, there's no guarantee. I just bring up boxing, which I really don't watch that much of, simply because people have paid a pretty penny to have those fights playing in their home and don't bat an eye at it. I think maybe the Super Bowl and the NFL is looking at the same exact thing and saying, heck, if they'll pay for that, why not? So we'll see. All right, we're not doing news. It's okay. Let's just keep going. Speaking of things people are going to have to pay for, it's okay. No, do not apologize. It happens. Did you hear this story? I'm going to show you my screen. And you know what they say about being in the eye of the beholder. I mean, this is a lot of eyes and a lot of beholders after somebody knocked over a very expensive piece of art.
Now, a piece of fine art is now in pieces after an art fair attendee knocked over a fragile sculpture.
The $42,000 balloon dog figure was on display in Miami when an art collector accidentally kicked the podium, sending the pricey pooch all the way to the floor. The blue porcelain sculpture is one of nearly 800 editions.
Yeah, artist Jeff Koons created hundreds of balloon animal figures, some of which have sold for millions at auction.
I don't leave the stuff that is so priceless you can't break it outside of a glass case.
I think it's worth 40,000.
Yeah.
Pretty expensive.
Pretty expensive. I love it. I just love the accents.
Is that a you break it, you buy it situation?
I would have to say so. Now, apparently, one person that witnessed the incident told CNN that the woman touched the sculpture to see if it was an actual balloon and then accidentally shattered it. The apparently, according to this report, insurance will cover it. But then this person that was there, Stephen Gamson, who witnessed the incident, He went on to say that despite it breaking, he would buy it in the shattered pieces. He says, I find value in it even when it's broken. To me, it's the story. It makes the art even more interesting.
Wow.
That's why I wanted to bring it up. Like, art is so subjective, right? So absolutely, I'd be like, oh, look, now it's broken. It speaks to, society. It speaks to people not being able to keep their damn hands to themselves. It speaks to what people are willing to pay for, even if it's broken. It's really, really funny that the person was like, yeah, now there's a story to go along with it. It reminds me of this one art. It's not really a sculpture. I don't know. I don't think it was Banksy, but it was where there was this piece of art, and then somebody bought it and went immediately into the shredder and got destroyed. And it was all part of kind of the art. And I'm like,
I remember
if that's
that.
art,
I think it was a Banksy
that's
thing.
art.
Yeah.
I'm not
Or
doing
it
that.
self-destructed or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like all that does is make you be a fool, right? I'm just showing you what people are willing to spend their very hard-earned money on. Yeah, it was a Banksy. Okay, that was Banksy. Okay, Eric's confirming that as well. Yeah, I think a Banksy definitely trolls society with its art, and so
yeah,
that's really. I think that also is part of art. I'm not an art person. Do you have any real art in your house besides that gorgeous rainbow above your shoulder right there?
I have a lot of kid art in my house. I have some sculpture art. A Native American themed necklace and giant piece of bark on my legs. Not sure what to do with that. But my art's mostly kid art. I have one really nice picture that I bought at a harvest festival of a winery. It's a picture of a winery scene, and I love it in my living room, but I don't have a lot of art. Honestly, I don't have a lot of money to spend on art.
I'm going to show you something. Okay, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to run and go get it real quickly. Okay, and I'm sure my family members on my husband's side are going to be very mad at me about doing this. I'm going to show you something. Hold on.
I hope she doesn't show us something so valuable that then she gets ripped off. Let's hope not. Whatever it is, I can't wait to see it. I don't know. I was reading a thing by Lizzo. You put your headphones back on. I was reading a thing by Lizzo that said she was grateful that people had forced her at the beginning of her career to buy art, because now she has all this art that that is worth more than when she bought it. And so for her, it was all an investment. Yeah.
So we're moving, and there's a piece of art that my husband and my husband's family really likes and says is worth a lot of money. And so here it is. What do you think of that?
What is that? It looks like a aorta or a tree.
I don't know. It's a person, and I think the hair is hands.
Okay.
That's how I describe it. How much? How much would you pay for this?
No offense, I probably wouldn't pay for it.
So we've never hung that piece of art. Doesn't really go with our decor. I'm not knocking it. But apparently it's very expensive. And so I'm not allowed to get rid of it. But we won't hang it. So, somebody said $200. Wes, you paid $200 for that? I'm not knocking it. It's one of those things where $5. I love it. $200. Gotta have it. $250. Wow, you guys really liked it.
It's time to auction that thing off. Let's go.
No, I can't. No.
Begin.
So I told my husband, I was like, we're dumping this, right? And I didn't know that it was by some painter that my husband's side of the family knows. And he said the name. I don't even know the name. Is it? Hold on. Is it on there? No.
Is it a print or an original?
No, it's an original. Oh,
wow.
C Bibbs. Any art collectors? C Bibbs. I don't know the first name. C Bibbs. So no, it's original. It's definitely an original. But I'm just like, it doesn't go with anything. I don't want to hang it up. So let's get rid of it or give it back to your parents or something. But that's my problem with art is like, if I buy it, then I feel like I have to display it. I mean, yeah, art is in the eye of the beholder. I get it. C. Bibbs artist. Let me look up C. Bibbs artist. Oh, Google even Charles Bibb. Anyone know who Charles Bibbs is?
Yeah.
It's a Charles Bibbs. You know who that is?
But someone's going to break into your house and steal that now that we know it's worth money.
Oh, it's not worth that much money. I mean, a couple $100 probably, but yeah, there you go. Well, don't break into my house. We have an attack dog, so just don't do that. Oh, wow. I have no idea. Oh, look at that. David Odell knows who it is. So yeah, I don't know. That's the art that we have. And so do you hang it if it's expensive, even if you don't think that it matches any of your decor? I mean, that's my problem with art. It's so difficult to know what you have. And if you don't like it, what do you do with it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Just don't destroy it. How about that? If you're going to spend a lot of money on it, go ahead.
I once asked someone, I had this picture of my daughter, Julia, that I adored. And their significant other is an artist. And I asked if he was interested in painting it. And he did, but it turned out nothing like the picture. I still paid for it. Because you're going to send people like, I hate that thing or whatever. And it was really a labor of love that he did. And it was so kind, but I've never hung it up.
Right.
And I mean,
it's not as if I
want it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's not like I despise this painting that I have. It's just we've never hung it. I would have nowhere. I would not know where to hang it. Velma says, no, don't hang it. You store it. See, this is the thing that like makes my skin itch is just why own something?
Right.
Why own something that I'm just not going to ever look at or hang just because somebody tells me it's worth a lot of money. And I'm not knocking Charles Bibbs. He is an artist. I when I Googled him, and actually, not that I'm knocking this thing, but some art that I actually like a little bit better, right? This is just the one that we have. But yeah, it's one of those things of, do your possessions own you because of the value that society places on it? Right. And what do you do if you lose it or somebody steals it or it breaks? On that note, when I was reporting on that dog balloon thing that broke, somebody shared in Twitter this video that I just find to be really funny and like how this guy deals with it. So here we go. Watch this video. It's so funny.
So this is a one-of-a-kind piece. There's no other one like this particular one in the world. And you can see the tracks go this way. And it's really cool because it records much more accurately than, oh, shit. Oh, my God.
Well, that does happen every once in a while. Good.
Hello?
Now, are you done with that then?
Yeah, I'm done with that.
All right. Apparently we're really done with that one.
I mean, that's just so funny. That's just, I can't imagine being on TV doing something like that. There's other things like,
up, or do you think he really broke it?
I mean, it looks like he really broke it, and it did look like he didn't want to break it. So, I mean, Jeff says that was a setup. This was a setup, maybe, but that was really funny. There was another one where was it the dominoes? Somebody had set up like the Guinness Book of World Record domino thing, and then somebody tapped it, and the whole thing went down. Those things are always so funny. Again, just don't be value on that.
I had heard about the balloon breaking statue.
I
had heard the woman accidentally kicked the pedestal, like was walking by and kicked it.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. But then somebody that was there said she wanted to know if it was really a balloon. So different stories. But you know what? The British people that were talking about the news thing, you know, if it's really priceless and expensive, there should be more of a barrier. I know about glass. Obviously, you can't cover everything in glass, but maybe have ropes so people can't get so close to stuff that's that delicate. Because if you just tap something and it shatters, it needs more of a buffer. Like put a bit more of a buffer on something because it's a little too sensitive.
If it's that breakable.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
We had these in
mm.
Petaluma. They were trying to put these bathtubs on stilts, so like there were bathtubs, but they were way high in the sky. That was a public art. Yeah, and so they haven't done it yet, but they're still. I think they're still planning on putting these bathtubs up, and half the town is complaining because they don't want the bathtubs along the Petaluma River. That it would be unsightly. You know, some people say we don't want to spend money on that. So art is definitely in the eye of the beholder about what it's worth and what we're willing to pay for it and where we want it.
Exactly. I mean, and I'm not, again, not knocking it if you like it. I won't yuck anyone's art yum. It's just, if it doesn't go with your decor, what are you supposed to do with the damn thing? All right, finally, the People's Court is coming to an end along with Judge Mathis. Any People's Court fans out there? Dun dun dun. I loved it. My mom loves judge shows all the time. Now, obviously, the People's Court has had many different judges. Now, this isn't Judge Judy.
Right.
I think it's is it Christina Milian?
Judge Wapner was the first
Marilyn,
one, right?
Marilyn Milian. Yeah, Judge Wapner.
Was
the first one.
Yeah, Judge Wapner was the first. Yeah.
Yeah, Wapner. Marilyn Milian was the latest one, apparently. And Judge Mathis with Greg Mathis is also over. They've spent more than 2 decades on air. Mathis will be ending its 24th season, while the People's Court will end its 26th season. Yeah, I mean, I like judge shows. I'm wondering, is it a saturation thing? Is it a Judge Judy type of thing? Are we just kind of over it? You know what I mean? Like there's too many judge shows, and so we don't want it anymore. I don't know. When you're homesick, watching judge shows is fun.
It's interesting to look inside someone's dispute, right? Like, oh, you want to see the fights about, but it just, to me, I think it's just gotten more and more tacky. Paternity court.
Yeah. It's like Maury Povich, Yeah. There's divorce court, there's People's Court, there's all sorts of courts. I think Steve Harvey even had one, if I'm not correct. No, you know what? It wasn't Steve Harvey. There was Moral Court. Did you ever watch Moral Court? Or it wasn't like a small claims court type of thing. They just had to see, were you morally right or wrong? Which was kind of interesting. Vilma says, too many judge shows for my taste. 1 or 2 are enough. Yeah. It does seem like the end of an era to get rid of People's Court. But I always liked People's Court when they came out and the guy interviewed them.
Right.
And they'd be all pissed off about it. Like, F that person, da-da-da-da-da. So that was always fun. I liked that. But yeah, the People's Court is gone.
So funny,
Yeah. Now the People's Court first aired in 1997.
Judge Judy.
Judge Judy was annoying after a while. She wouldn't stop screaming. I mean, she was okay, but now the People's Court first aired in 1997, and it was a revival from the other one. Actually, former New York City Mayor Ed Koch was the first judge of the People's Court. It ran from 1980 to 1993. Then in 1999, what was Wapner then? What was Judge Wapner?
Was he not?
Anybody in the comments? I thought he was the People's Court. I thought you were right about that. Yeah. So in the first season, former New York City Mayor Ed Koch was sat on the bench. Oh, maybe Wapner was after that. And then in 1999, Judge Jerry Scheinlin, who was married to Judge Judy, took the reins. And then in 2001, Milian, who was a former Miami Circuit Court judge, took the reins. What was Wapner, guys? Anybody? Judge Wapner. I just keep thinking of Rain Man. When he says Judge Wapner, he had to be People's Court. I think so. Judge Steve Harvey's on Hulu as David Odell. Yeah, exactly. It is just one of those things. Murphy writes in, we watched the original People's Court when I was young, but stopped once my mom found her new obsession, Antiques Roadshow on PBS.
Oh.
That's a fun show.
Yeah,
That
I
makes
love
you
that
want to go
show.
to like garage sales and estate sales. You're like, they don't know what they have. I remember I went
Maybe you
to.
should take your painting to the Antiques Roadshow and see what it's worth.
Well, I know what it, and I think somebody was telling me in the comments probably worth a couple $100. My husband knows it, and again, I feel bad because again, art is in the eye of the beholder. It's just again, we've never hung it up. We've had it, and so why have art that you don't hang up just to own?
Right.
I feel like it just becomes stuff that owns you. And as someone who's moving and still in the process of getting stuff out of the old house into the new house, way too much stuff. It's like an anchor, and where you don't want to move because what
Does
are
it
you going
bring
to
you
do with
joy,
all of
Nikki?
your stuff? No,
bring you
there's so
joy?
many things. No, it does not bring me joy. I am not finding any sort of joy at all in any of
If it
it
doesn't
at
bring
all.
you joy, it's gone.
Yeah.
I
Speaking of, I would throw everything away. I mean, there was somebody that wrote to me, one of our viewers, who was saying that they just got rid of so much stuff and started over, even though they felt like it was wasteful. They basically said, you know, I felt bad because it was still usable, but whatever I couldn't sell, I just dumped because I had had it for so long that I felt like I got all of the use out of it. And I agree completely.
Yeah.
Murphy says that Judge Wapner was the presiding judge, but Ed Koch, I think, was on the first season. So I don't know. I'll find out how much it's worth. My husband's gonna kill me for like talking crap about the painting. I know it, but whatever. I'm gonna get an earful.
I like the idea of giving it back to your in-laws, you know? Let it go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like how much
Knit right.
stuff do you want to be saddled down with? It's just stuff that weighs you down that you have to carry from place to place to place in your life.
And if it had some sort of like, sentimental value, I will trek that stuff all the time. My husband, I don't believe has any sentimental value to this. I think he just owns it because, somebody painted it and is a well-known artist, and that's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I'll see if my mother-in-law wants it. I'm sure she'd take it. I don't know why not. If they like it, hang it up in your house.
Yeah.
I'm not getting divorced. Don't even say stuff like that. All right, finally, what songs make you happy? We weren't able to get to this story last week, but did you see that a UK researcher has revealed the songs most likely to make listeners happy? And it all boils down to one simple formula. Did you see the story? Anybody want to tell me what is the song that makes people the happiest? It came out last week, so I'm wondering how much people were paying attention to the news last week. They have decided, this UK researcher, I guess, who teaches music psychology at the University of Sheffield, says there is a winning combination for a joyful score. It's a major key, 7th chords, 137 beats per minute, a strong beat, 4 beats in every bar, and verse, chorus structure. And so, does anybody know what the song was? I'm looking. I don't see it. All right.
Is it Pharrell's Because I'm Happy? No?
That would be an easy one. That was the first one that popped into mind.
Yeah.
But the world's happiest song, the number one is Good Vibrations by the Beast Boys.
Oh, really?
Mindy got it right before I said it. Mindy got it. Good Vibrations has been mentioned. Another one,
that's cool.
I Got You by James Brown. Get the Party Started by Pink. And I do love this song. Uptown Girl by Billy Joel. I think that's a really one. Yeah. John writes in, Welcome to the Jungle by Guns N' Roses. That song does get me happy only because I have great memories of partying to that song. So people that were at that party know exactly what I'm talking about. Mutilating Blast says, the simpler the song, the easier for people to digest. Good. Happy Day. Vilma writes in. Yeah, John likes the Pink song. Yep. I mean, there's a lot of songs that I like. I will say this, though. Also having, like we were talking about stuff, sentimental value to the song. Even though it's not like a upbeat, happy song in the traditional sense, I love the song I Will Survive. I think that song, it just kind of gets you going and empowered. A lot of reggae songs. Yeah, exactly. A lot of reggae songs do it for me as well. I love the Redemption song by Bob Marley, which is on the box set, which is the live version. It's very important. That's the one that I love the most. What other reggae songs? There's just a bunch. Is there a
By the
song
way,
that just
I
always
talked to
makes you
Peter
happy?
Chin Hong, Dr. Peter Chin Hong today. Speaking of reggae.
He does love his reggae music, and you love Peter Chin Hong, so I'm sure that made you happy today as well.
Yes, I was delighted.
Here's somebody. All right, let's go through some of these. Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy. That's a good one. We Are the Champions by Queen is a good one. Hold On by Sam and Dave. I'll also add, John, Hold On by Wilson Phillips. That song always gets me singing. Let's see. It's Raining Men.
I thought you were going to say Whistle While You Work. That kind of song. No?
No. That's like not at all. Why would I want to whistle while I work? I don't want to work. You know what makes me happy? Not whistling while I'm not at work, and I can't even whistle, so it's fine. Hakuna Matata. That's a good one. Vilma likes I Will Survive Too.
Hakuna Matata.
They call me Mellow Yellow. Linda says Mellow Yellow. That's a good one. Absolutely. Yeah. A good hook and a good beat, Flo writes. Catchy lyrics make for a good song. Absolutely. But makes you happy? Yeah. Let It Go. The Frozen song, Calvin? Really? Now you're going to get that stuck in my head. Thank you. I Feel Good, but yeah, by James Brown. That's a good one. Whiskey While I Drink. I don't know if I know that song. Yeah. There are a lot of songs that definitely make you happy. And so I play some of these songs if YouTube wasn't such a pain in the butt about it. But yeah, there is definitely a science to the songs that make you happy. But I'm going to say if it made you feel good while listening.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Research published last year also showed that students who jam out while studying actually earned higher GPAs, while another study last year found that surgeons who listened to AC/DC in the operating room were quicker and more accurate. And who wouldn't want that from their surgeon? Yeah, so look at that.
And see,
music can do.
They probably thought, like, we're no brain surgeons. We're not contributing to the world that much. But look what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Saving lives, AC/DC.
There you go. No whistle while you work. Whiskey while I drink. That's what we're supposed to do. Raise the Dead by Venom. Drive My Car by the Beatles. Good Time by Carly Rae Jepsen and Owl City. All right. Procreation of the Wicked by Celtic Frost. And then finally, Nick comes in with the obvious one. Pharrell Williams, Happy.
Yeah.
And there's Nugaboo making a cameo. He's like, oh, I'm in the camera. All right. Well, that's our show. Hopefully Kim's internet will be better tomorrow. I think we might get Chip Franklin on tomorrow. It is A-okay. Believe me, I'm hoping that my connection was a lot better today. I know I had a couple of glitches, but this is as good as it's going to get, people. I've got some shelving coming from behind me, so I'm going to make it even cuter. So that's all coming up. It's a labor of love. Do you?
Is that your front door? Can I see your front door from here?
That's my front door.
Yes. Yeah, so I'll be able to see. We'll be able to see people coming and going. This is great.
That's why I'm getting the screen, is so hopefully you won't. I want to create like a cozy room again. So we'll see if we can. I think hopefully it's coming tomorrow, but it might not be until next week. So we'll see. I'm going to try to get Chip Franklin on tomorrow, see if he can make a cameo, see what he is up to, get his thoughts on some of the day's events. Please click the thumbs up button before the show ends, but you can do it even if you're watching in replay. Do not worry about it. It's never too early or too late to click that thumbs up button. Please consider donating to our Patreon. You can find the link at thenikkimedoroshow.com. Super Chat is always live, even during the replay as well, if you want to throw us some dollars, because that really also helps us keep the show going. PayPal is always available. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. thenikkimedoroshow@gmail.com. Pick up some merch. And Kim, you weren't here yet, but you can go to thenikkimedoroshop.com. Look, Raymond sent us this picture as he was out and about in the Nikki Medoro Show t-shirt. So thank you. And send us pictures.
Adorable.
Yeah, if you buy the merch and you get it, we'll highlight you on the show. So send it to me through my email, the Nikki Medoro Show @gmail.com, and it always helps us out. So again, thank you to everyone for being here. Click that thumbs up button, and we shall talk tomorrow. Bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. You're sprout like a beautiful blossom. You're also the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.